It was a sunny afternoon at Oak Ridge University when Jamie Carter heard the knock on his apartment door. He had almost forgotten that today was the arrival day for his new roommate, an alien from another planet. Jamie was a biology student in his second year. He had joined a special intergalactic exchange program, which allowed humans to live and study with aliens from other planets. He thought it would be a fun way to learn about other life forms. What he didn't expect was that his roommate would be so different. When Jamie opened the door, he saw something he had never seen before. The alien was tall, at least 7 feet. Its skin was a soft silver color that seemed to glow a little in the sunlight. It had 3 long fingers on each hand and large, bright purple eyes. Its face looked calm and curious. "Greetings," the alien said in a clear, robotic-sounding voice. "I am Terrell of Andrexia 7. I am pleased to begin our cohabitation experiment." Jamie blinked. Hey, I'm Jamie. Come on in." Terrell stepped into the small apartment, looking around like a tourist in a museum. He stopped at every object, the couch, the TV remote, the ceiling fan, and asked, "Is this part of your reproductive process?" Jamie almost dropped his backpack. "What? No, that's just a fan. It keeps the room cool." Terrell nodded seriously and took notes on a small tablet that floated beside him. "Interesting. Humans use fans to maintain optimal conditions for reproductive success." "Noted," Jamie sighed. "This is going to be a long semester." Later that evening, Jamie made 2 cups of tea and sat on the couch. Terrell was sitting straight with his hands on his knees, still observing everything. "So, Terrell," Jamie began, "what made you choose Earth for your study?" "I have been assigned to understand the human reproductive behavior," Terrell replied. "Our species reproduces by cloning. It is efficient but lacks emotional experience. Human methods appear complex and mysterious. I wish to study them." Jamie nearly choked on his tea. "Wait, you're here to learn about reproduction?" Terrell nodded. "Yes, it is part of my academic thesis. I will study the biological, emotional, and social behaviors linked to human reproduction." Jamie scratched his head. "You're not gonna try anything weird, right?" "I will only observe and learn. I have read many Earth materials already," Terrell said proudly. "Romantic comedies, poetry, and biology textbooks. I am currently analyzing something called The Notebook." Jamie laughed. "You're watching rom-coms for science?" "Of course. Emotional bonding appears to be a major component in human reproduction." Jamie couldn't believe this was real. He had an alien roommate who thought hugging might be part of reproduction. Over the next few days, Terrell's curiosity grew even more. He followed Jamie around campus, taking notes on human behavior. When Jamie smiled at someone, Terrell asked, "Did you release endorphins just now?" When Jamie held the door open for someone, Terrell whispered, "Was that a mating ritual?" Jamie had to explain many things. "No, offering someone coffee is not a proposal. No, people don't fall in love every time they shake hands. And no, chocolates are not magical love potions. Well, not officially." But despite the misunderstandings, Terrell was polite, curious, and respectful. He didn't want to offend anyone. He just wanted to understand. And slowly, Jamie began to enjoy having him around. One evening, Terrell walked into the living room wearing Jamie's extra hoodie backwards and a pair of sunglasses. "What are you doing?" Jamie asked. "I am preparing for social interaction. I have created a hypothesis. Humans who wear sunglasses indoors are more attractive." Jamie laughed so hard he dropped his phone. "You look like a confused time traveler." "Perfect," Terrell said, taking a selfie. Later that night, as Jamie sat at his desk finishing homework, Terrell looked up from his tablet. "Jamie," he asked, "why do humans connect reproduction with feelings like love and care?" Jamie paused. It was a big question. "Well, I think it's because humans want to raise families. Reproduction isn't just about biology for us, it's about connection, building something with someone else. We don't just want to create life, we want to share life." Terrell was quiet for a long time. Then he said softly, "That is very different from my world." Jamie smiled. That's why you're here, right? To learn. Terrell looked thoughtful. Yes, and already I have learned that human reproduction is more than I expected. It is not just physical, it is emotional, social, even poetic. Just wait until you see Valentine's Day, Jamie said. Is that when humans exchange hearts? Terrell asked seriously. Jamie laughed again. Not literally, Terrell, not literally. After a few weeks on Earth, Terrell had read more than 20 books about human biology. He knew about chromosomes, hormones, organs, and DNA. He even understood what Jamie called the birds and the bees. But something still didn't make sense. If human reproduction was a natural process, why did it involve so many emotions? Love, attraction, shyness, fear of rejection. None of these were part of reproduction on Terrell's home planet, Andrexia 7. There, new life was created in advanced labs with no need for touching, talking, or poetry. Everything was logical, but on Earth reproduction seemed wrapped in mystery, feelings, and rituals. Terrell wanted answers. One morning while Jamie was making toast in the kitchen, Terrell sat across from him with his floating tablet. I have completed my biological study, Terrell announced. Now I must understand the emotional side of reproduction. Jamie raised an eyebrow. You mean, like dating, relationships, stuff like that? Yes, Terrell said. But emotions are harder to study than body systems. They are not visible. They do not appear on my scanners. Jamie nodded. Yeah, emotions are tricky. You can't just measure them with a machine. Terrell looked serious. Then I will learn by observation. I must watch real emotional interactions. Jamie laughed. You're not going to spy on couples, are you? No, Terrell said. I will go out and participate in emotional experiments. Later that week, Terrell arrived at campus wearing a blazer, a bright red tie, and carrying a clipboard. He had printed a sign that read, Free Love Survey, Participate in Human Emotional Research. Students gathered out of curiosity. Some thought it was a joke, others just wanted to help. Terrell asked questions like, what is the average time before humans feel butterflies in the stomach? Do flowers really increase reproductive success? How often do humans sing to impress potential mates? The answers were strange and funny. One student said butterflies appeared after 3 dates. Another claimed that chocolate was more effective than flowers. One guy proudly admitted he played guitar just to look romantic. Terrell took notes on everything. By the end of the day, he had 42 completed surveys and 1 rose someone gave him, just for being sweet. Terrell sniffed the rose and whispered, Botanical attraction is stronger than expected, but just studying others wasn't enough. Terrell decided to experience emotional connection himself. He joined the university's speed dating event. Jamie tried to stop him. Terrell, I don't think this is a good idea. You're not really looking for love, right? I am looking for data, Terrell said calmly. Besides, I have reviewed hundreds of romantic films. I am ready. Dressed in a clean suit and shiny shoes, Terrell sat at a small table with a name tag that read, Terrell, Alien Researcher. Each student had 2 minutes to talk with Terrell. Most of them laughed when he introduced himself. Hello. What is your favorite bonding ritual? What emotional signals do you feel right now? Please describe in detail. If we exchanged beverages, would that improve our connection? Some people found him strange. Others found him charming. By the end of the night, Terrell had 5 phone numbers, a friendship bracelet, and a sticker that said good listener. Jamie couldn't believe it. You actually did better than me at speed dating. Terrell tilted his head. My success rate is 62%. Is that considered smooth? Jamie groaned. Please never say that word again. Over the next few days, Terrell continued his experiments. He brought small gifts to people, wrote compliments on sticky notes, and asked students to rate their emotional responses. He even tried singing outside the library one morning. His voice wasn't exactly musical. It sounded like a robot humming through a fan, but people still gathered to listen. Some students clapped, others took videos. One student, a kind girl named Riley, approached him afterward. "That was interesting," she said, smiling. "Are you doing some kind of social project?" Terrell nodded. "Yes, I am studying human emotional bonding. Would you like to participate?" Riley laughed. "Sure, why not?" They sat on a bench and talked for over an hour. Terrell asked questions and Riley answered with honesty and humor. She didn't treat him like a science project. She treated him like a person. Something new happened. Terrell didn't take notes, he just listened. When he returned home, Jamie noticed the change. "Hey, where's your data tablet?" Jamie asked. Terrell looked thoughtful. "I left it in my bag. I wanted to experience without measuring." Jamie raised an eyebrow. "So, did you finally understand emotions?" "Not fully," Terrell said. "But I think I started to feel one." Terrell had never felt nervous before. On his home planet, Andrexia 7, emotions were carefully managed through chemicals and training. But now, sitting on a bench in the university garden, waiting for Riley, his fingers tapped the edge of his floating tablet. He had studied dating carefully. Jamie had shown him several romantic movies and explained the general idea. A date was not just a meeting. It was an experience where two people shared time, thoughts, and maybe even feelings. Today, Terrell had invited Riley to join him for what he called a controlled emotional experiment in a social setting. Riley had laughed at the message, then replied, "Sure, let's call it a date." Terrell had spent hours planning. He had reviewed over 60 online articles with titles like How to Impress Your Date and Top 10 Romantic Places on Campus. He even made a checklist. Choose nice location. Wear clean clothes. Bring a small gift. Ask thoughtful questions. Smile, as much as possible with alien face. At exactly 4 p.m., Riley arrived. She wore a light green jacket and had a small notebook in her hand. "Hi, Professor Alien," she teased. "Ready for our experiment?" Terrell stood up and handed her a small flower made from folded paper. "This is a symbolic gesture. According to data, 78% of humans enjoy receiving gifts on a date." Riley smiled and took the flower. "You're doing great already." They sat at a small table near the fountain. Birds chirped in the trees and the sky was a soft blue. Terrell offered Riley a drink, iced tea, and a small cookie shaped like a heart. Riley took a sip. "So what do we do now? Talk about the stars or confess our deepest secrets?" Terrell tapped his tablet. "I have prepared 10 conversation prompts based on high emotional response topics. May I begin?" Riley laughed. "Go ahead. Prompt 1, Terrell began. "If you could have dinner with anyone in the universe, who would it be?" Riley tilted her head. Maybe my grandmother. She passed away last year and I miss her stories." Terrell nodded. "Loss, grief, important parts of emotional development. Thank you for your honesty." "Okay, my turn," Riley said. "What about you? Who would you have dinner with?" Terrell paused. "I believe I would choose Jamie. He understands me and helps me grow. Also, he makes good toast." Riley smiled. "That's actually really sweet." As the afternoon continued, they talked about music, books, and strange food from both Earth and Andrexia 7. Riley laughed when Terrell described how his people eat through skin absorption. Terrell blinked in confusion when Riley explained why humans cry during sad movies, but something strange happened. Terrell stopped checking his tablet every few minutes. He forgot to mark down every emotional response. Instead, he simply listened. He laughed when Riley told a joke. He felt something warm when she smiled. Was this emotion? After the sun began to set, they stood up to leave. "I had fun today," Riley said. "Your experiment was pretty special." Terrell looked up at the sky. "This was not like my other studies. It felt different." Riley reached out and touched his hand gently. "That's because it wasn't just data. It was real." Later, that night, Jamie found Terrell staring at his tablet, deep in thought. "How was the big date?" Jamie asked, dropping his backpack on the floor. "It was confusing," Terrell replied slowly. "I followed all the steps, I gave a gift, asked good questions, even shared drinks, but I stopped collecting data halfway through. I simply enjoyed her company. Jamie smiled. Sounds like you were present in the moment. That's a big part of connecting with someone. Terrell turned the tablet off. My heart rate increased when she laughed. My skin felt warm when she touched my hand. These were not programmed responses, they were spontaneous. Jamie nodded. That's emotion for you. It doesn't always make sense, but it's real. Terrell looked at his human friend. Jamie, do you believe I am capable of feeling emotions even if I was not born with them? Jamie sat down beside him. You're already feeling them, Terrell. That's what makes you more human than you think. Valentine's Day. The entire campus changed. Red and pink decorations were everywhere. Heart-shaped balloons floated in classrooms. Students gave each other chocolates, cards, and small gifts. Cafes played soft music, and even the library had a love story book display. Terrell was fascinated. This is the human celebration of bonding, yes? He asked Jamie one morning while looking at a paper heart taped to their door. Jamie, who was busy making coffee, nodded. Yep. Valentine's Day. It's kind of a big deal. People show love, give presents, and some even confess their feelings. Confess? Terrell repeated. Is this a required emotional ritual? Jamie chuckled. Not required, but a lot of people use it as a chance to tell someone they like them. Terrell thought about Riley. Since their date experiment, they had met a few more times, for tea, for a walk, and once just to sit and watch birds. He hadn't collected data in those moments. He just enjoyed being with her. Now he wondered, should he confess something too? Later that day, Terrell visited the university craft shop. He asked for materials to make a card. The woman at the counter smiled. Making something special? Yes, Terrell said, very seriously. A communication of emotional interest. She handed him glitter, paper, stickers, and a heart-shaped stamp. At home, Terrell worked for hours. He didn't want to simply follow instructions from the internet. He wanted the card to be honest. Something from him, not from a textbook. The final result was a little uneven, and the writing was slightly crooked, but it was full of care. Inside, he wrote, Dear Riley, I do not fully understand love yet, but I know I feel something when I am with you. Your smile increases my heart rate. Your voice calms my thoughts. I would like to continue this experiment. Together. From Terrell Dore. Next day was Valentine's Day. Students walked around with flowers, stuffed animals, and cards. Some looked happy, others nervous. Terrell waited near the fountain, the same spot where he and Riley had talked before. He held the card carefully in his three-fingered hand. When Riley arrived, she smiled brightly. Hey, Space Professor. Happy Valentine's. Happy Bonding Day. Terrell replied. He handed her the card. Riley opened it slowly. As she read, her smile grew softer. She looked up at Terrell with warm eyes. This is the sweetest card I've ever received, she said. I meant every word, Terrell replied. Even if my grammar is not perfect. It's perfect, Riley said. There was a short silence. Then she reached into her bag and pulled out a small box. I got you something too. Inside was a silver pin shaped like a star. It reminded me of you, she said. A little strange, a little shiny, but full of wonder. Terrell held the pin carefully. I will wear this always. Later that evening, back at the apartment, Jamie noticed Terrell staring at his card from Riley. Well, Jamie asked. How did it go? Terrell turned toward him slowly. Jamie, I believe I am emotionally affected. Jamie laughed. That's called being in love, my friend. Terrell blinked. I thought love took time. Jamie nodded. It does. But sometimes the first spark comes quickly. Terrell looked down at the star pin. It is not logical, but it feels right. Welcome to being human, Jamie said. The next few days felt different for Terrell. Colors looked brighter, sounds felt warmer. Even the smell of Jamie's burnt toast in the morning didn't bother him. He still took notes in his floating tablet, but not as often. Instead, he started drawing. Not perfectly, but enough to capture memories: the fountain, the card, Riley's smile. He also noticed something else. Humans didn't just share affection with romantic partners. They showed love to friends, family, even pets. He saw Jamie hugging a friend who was feeling sad. He saw a girl feeding a stray cat every morning. He saw two older professors walking, together, hands lightly touching. Love, Tyrell realized, came in many forms: romantic, friendly, caring, quiet, loud. All of it was part of the human experience, and perhaps part of his too. That night, he wrote a new entry in his emotional log. I once believed reproduction was about creating life through science, but humans have taught me it is also about creating connection. Love is not only a step toward reproduction, it is a reason for living. Today, I felt alive. Spring arrived on campus. The trees were covered with soft blossoms and students sat on the grass with their books and snacks. Tyrell had never seen the world look so colorful. Everything around him seemed more alive. Maybe it was the season, or maybe it was how he felt inside. He was spending more time with Riley now. They met for tea on Wednesdays, studied together at the library, and took long walks after class. Tyrell enjoyed every moment, even when they said nothing at all. He thought he understood human feelings now. But one afternoon, everything started to feel strange. It began when Riley introduced someone new. Hey, Tyrell, she said, waving. This is Ethan. He's in my literature class. Ethan was tall, with a smooth voice and an easy smile. He laughed at Riley's jokes and even offered her a cookie from his lunchbox. Tyrell blinked. Hello, Ethan. I am Tyrell. I study human bonding. Ethan smiled politely. Ah, the alien everyone talks about. Cool to meet you. As Riley and Ethan talked, Tyrell stayed quiet. Something inside him felt tight. He didn't understand it. His heart rate increased and his fingers twitched. He had no words for it. Later, he asked Jamie about it. Jamie, he said, is it normal to feel strange when someone else talks to the person you emotionally prefer? Jamie looked up from his comic book. You mean Riley? Yes. And this Ethan? Yes. Jamie smiled. Sounds like you're feeling a bit jealous. Jealous? Tyrell repeated. What is that? Jamie sat up. It's when you worry that someone else will take the place you hold in someone's heart. It's common in relationships. But Riley has not rejected me, Tyrell said. Why would I feel this way? Jamie shrugged. Because emotions aren't always logical, especially when you care about someone. Tyrell did not like this feeling. He tried to ignore it, but it stayed in his chest like a heavy stone. He even avoided Riley for 2 days, pretending to be busy with research. On the third day, Riley came looking for him. There you are, she said, sitting beside him on the bench. You've been acting weird. Is everything okay? Tyrell hesitated, then he said, I felt something new, something unpleasant. Riley tilted her head. What kind of feeling? When I saw you with Ethan, Tyrell explained, I felt like I was no longer special to you. Riley's eyes widened. Tyrell, that's not true. You were laughing with him. You shared food. I thought perhaps you no longer wanted to spend time with me. Riley reached out and gently held his hand. Tyrell, Ethan's just a classmate. I laugh with a lot of people, but that doesn't change how I feel about you. You're still important to me. Tyrell looked at her carefully. Then, I do not need to compete? Riley laughed softly. No, relationships aren't a contest. They're about trust. Tyrell blinked. Trust, yes. I must trust that you care. Exactly, Riley said. And you can talk to me if you're ever confused. I want to understand you too. Tyrell felt the tight feeling in his chest slowly fade. He smiled, a small, careful smile. Thank you, Riley. I'm still learning. That evening, Tyrell told Jamie what happened. I spoke with Riley. She explained that caring does not vanish just because she speaks to others. Jamie grinned. Sounds like you just passed another emotional level. I did not enjoy the lesson, Terrell admitted. No one enjoys jealousy, Jamie said. But you learned how to handle it. That's what matters, Terrell thought, for a moment. Jamie, emotions are more complex than any system I have studied. Jamie nodded. Yeah, but they're also what make life rich. Messy, sure, but full of meaning. Terrell looked at the window where the moon hung quietly in the night sky. Then perhaps this mess is worth it. The next day, Terrell and Riley met again. This time there was no awkwardness between them. They sat under a tree, reading poetry. Terrell tried to write his own using simple words. You make my circuits calm. My thoughts rest when you smile. I do not understand everything, but I understand you. Riley blushed. That's actually really beautiful. Terrell tilted his head. It is not traditional, but it is honest. I like that, Riley said. Honest is better than perfect. That night, Terrell wrote in his emotional log, Today I learned about jealousy, a powerful and confusing emotion. I feared losing someone important, but through trust and communication, I found peace again. Emotions are not only about joy, they also include fear and doubt, but facing them brings growth. Perhaps that is the human way. The days passed quietly after Terrell and Riley talked about trust. The campus grew greener, filled with soft winds and blooming flowers. Terrell found a calm rhythm in his days: study, research, quiet talks with Riley, and movie nights with Jamie. But deep inside, something new had begun to grow. Not a feeling of fear or confusion, but a quiet thought, a question he could not ignore. What happens when human connections change? One afternoon, while walking with Riley near the university lake, Terrell noticed she was quieter than usual. She didn't laugh at his strange facts about water molecules, and she barely looked up when a bird flew right over them. Riley, he asked gently, are you feeling unwell? Riley looked at him, her eyes unsure. No, just thinking. About what? She took a deep breath. Terrell, you know how we've been spending a lot of time together? Yes, he said. I enjoy it greatly. I do too, Riley said quickly. But sometimes I feel confused. I like you. I respect you. But I'm not sure if I'm ready for something serious. Terrell blinked. Do you mean you wish to end the experiment? No, she said softly. I just think I need some time. I've been busy with exams, projects, and I haven't had space to think clearly. Terrell felt something inside him tighten, like when he had first seen her with Ethan. But this was deeper. A quiet ache. I understand, he said slowly. You need space to understand your own feelings. Yes, Riley said. And it's not your fault. You've been wonderful. Truly. I just need to figure myself out. They sat in silence for a while. A breeze passed between them, carrying small petals across the grass. I am sad, Terrell said honestly. Riley nodded. Me too, but I believe this is the right thing for now. She gave his hand a small squeeze. Thank you for understanding. That evening, Terrell didn't feel like watching any movies. He sat on the couch, staring at the small silver star pin Riley had given him. Jamie walked in and paused. Bad day? Terrell nodded. Riley has asked for space. Not because she dislikes me, but because she is unsure. Jamie sat beside him. That's hard. I'm sorry. I do not know how to stop feeling this sadness, Terrell said. It sits in my chest like a heavy stone. Jamie was quiet for a moment. Then he said, You're grieving in a way. Not a person, but a connection. Will it go away? Jamie shrugged. Not right away, but it gets easier. And sometimes, space helps people grow closer in the future. Terrell nodded slowly. I must let her go for now. Over the next few days, Terrell kept his routine. He attended classes, worked on his human bonding research, and helped other students in the lab. But something had changed. He no longer looked for Riley in the library. He no longer expected her messages. He let the silence stay and learned to live inside it. One night, while writing in his log, he paused. Then, for the first time, he deleted a sentence instead of writing, "Today I missed Riley deeply." He wrote, "Today I missed her, but I respected her choice." A week later, Terrell received a message. It was from Riley. "Hey, I hope you're okay. I've been thinking about you. Would you like to talk sometime soon?" Terrell stared at the screen. His heart beat faster, but this time it didn't hurt. It felt, warm. He replied, "Yes. I would like that very much." They met near the fountain again. This time, there were no paper hearts or emotional plans. Just two people sitting under a warm sun. "I'm sorry for the silence," Riley said. "You needed time," Terrell replied. "And I needed to learn that not all connections follow a perfect line." Riley smiled. "You've changed. So have you," Terrell said. They sat quietly watching the ripples on the water. Then Riley said, "I don't know where this goes next, but I still care about you." "I care about you too," Terrell said. "Even if it changes shape, the connection still matters." That night, Terrell updated his emotional log. "Today, I learned that letting go is also part of love. Human connections can shift, pause, or transform, but if they are based on respect, they do not vanish. I no longer study love. I live it." The end of the semester was near. Students hurried across campus with backpacks full of books and tired eyes. Some were excited, others nervous. Terrell noticed it all. Every smile, every sigh, every silent goodbye. His research project on human bonding was almost complete. Soon he would return to his home planet to present his findings to the High Council of Behavior and Culture. But this time he didn't feel ready to leave. Not because his data was incomplete, but because his heart wasn't. Jamie entered their shared apartment with 2 cups of coffee. "Big day tomorrow, huh?" Terrell nodded. "Yes. My final presentation is ready. I will transmit it to the council after the closing ceremony." Jamie looked at him. "You okay?" "I am unsure," Terrell said. "I have learned so much about humans, about care, jealousy, trust, and even loss. But I do not want this to be the end." Jamie smiled. "Maybe it's not. Maybe it's just the beginning." Later that evening, Terrell sat at his desk and opened his logbook for one final entry. He looked at all the past entries. They told a story, not just of science, but of growth, of change, of heart. He began to write. Final log entry. "My name is Terrell of Planet Siller. I came to Earth to study human bonding, specifically, their unique form of emotional and reproductive connection called love. What I discovered was not simply a biological function, but a vast and beautiful system of emotions. Humans do not bond with logic alone. They bond with memory, laughter, kindness, and even pain. They grow through joy and through heartbreak. Love, I have learned, is not only about holding on. Sometimes, it is about letting go and still caring. Sometimes it is not perfect, but it is always real, and in many ways I have become more human because of it." Terrell paused and added one more line. "This is not the end of the story, only the end of the first chapter." The next day, students gathered for the closing ceremony. There were speeches, awards, and even a music performance by the art students. Terrell stood quietly near the edge of the crowd, watching everyone laugh and cheer. Riley arrived near the end, walking slowly toward him. "I thought you might be busy," Terrell said. "I wanted to be here," she replied. They stood side by side, the air filled with soft music and the scent of spring flowers. "I read your last log entry," Riley said. "The one you shared with the psychology group." Terrell looked at her. "You did?" "It was beautiful," she said. You really understand now? Terrell nodded. I still have much to learn, but I believe I have started to feel the truth of it. Riley smiled. So, what happens when you go home? I will present my report. Then I may be assigned a new research mission. Somewhere far? Possibly, Terrell said. But I will request Earth again, if allowed. Riley raised an eyebrow. Why? Terrell looked at her gently. Because this place feels like home now. There was a pause. Then Riley reached into her bag and handed him a small notebook. What is this? Terrell asked. It's blank, she said. So you can start your next chapter, wherever you go. Terrell took the notebook slowly. Thank you. I hope we can keep in touch, she added. We will, Terrell said. Our connection does not end here. They smiled at each other, not with sadness but with quiet understanding. That night, Terrell and Jamie sat together one last time before departure. Going to miss you, space guy, Jamie said, trying to sound casual. I will miss you too, Jamie, Terrell replied. You taught me much, especially how to burn toast. Jamie laughed. Keep the pin Riley gave you. Don't lose it. I will keep it close, Terrell said. Then they stood and shared an awkward but warm hug. The next morning, Terrell left Earth in a small craft that rose silently into the sky. He looked down one last time, at the green trees, the blue oceans, and the people who had changed him forever. Inside his bag were his research notes, his blank notebook, and a silver star pin. Inside his heart was something more, something no science could fully explain. Epilogue: years later, a group of young alien scholars sat in a bright learning dome on planet Siller. One of them raised a hand. Instructor. Terrell, is it true that love cannot be measured? Terrell smiled. It is true. Love cannot be measured by numbers or charts. Then how do we study it? Terrell looked out the window toward a distant blue star. We study it by living, he said. By caring, by making mistakes, by trying again. The best research is the life you live with an open heart. And with that, he opened his old notebook. Now, filled with stories, poems, and names he would never forget.